Hey, what's up guys, welcome to the second part of the Final Fantasy 16 series. Now, if you remember last time I went over story and how I want the story to be done and how it can be possibly fixed. How Final Fantasy 15 could have fixed their problem. But this time I want to focus on the main part of a video game. We have a great story and ass gameplay, but today we're actually going to talk about the gameplay and how it can be improved. By the way, thank you guys for all the support that we got in the last video. And I really owe you guys that much support. Like, we got a subscriber, we got a couple likes, and this series is actually doing well. So yeah, don't forget to like this video, share this video around, and share the series around and get it more traction. Hopefully we can start doing collaborations with Final Fantasy Peasant, Spear Hunter, a couple of other Final Fantasy YouTubers I want to do collaborations with. But until then, we're gonna hope that this series does pretty well. So in the meantime, let's get into how we can improve the gameplay, the combat, the aesthetic, and just how to do Final Fantasy 16 right. Now, let's get into it. So now for combat and gameplay. Well, we need more strategy with this rendition. Final Fantasy 15's combat felt too simplistic and at times kinda sloppy, which was a major complaint. For example, it felt like all you needed to do was press square at the right moment to dodge instead of getting hit, and press circle to retaliate, which can get boring. It really gets boring. It feels way too easy, and there was no thinking, no strategy, no reason to level up. If you felt like you could take on a boss and you could, and you press squared and circle at the right time, you were just perfectly fine. And that's the one thing. So what I suggest, we use 2 games for combat and overall gameplay suggestions. Final Fantasy Lightning Returns and Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age. These entries share one thing in common: the ATC or Active Combat System. Well, Lightning Returns uses real-time combat, but these can help Final Fantasy 16 dramatically. All we have to really do is bring back the Zodiac Age's licensing system, which, if Final Fantasy 16 was to bring it back, they should bring back the job system. Zodiac Age is the perfect example because each character had a specific role through the license system. Now you couldn't change it, but it brings a level of difficulty and variety. I mean, let me explain. You would need a black mage for combat such as, the standard magic, ice, thunder, fire, gravity, mainline magic, and white mages for stamina boost and ailments. So like he would be able to essentially affect like status ailments essentially and healing. So then you would have them play like backseat supporters, so they wouldn't be on the front lines fighting full out. They would be able to support their party, but they'd still be able to get damaged and hurt. Like suppose someone came at you from the side, so basically you'd still be in pain. Now this is why I'm showing you the Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age gameplay, because this is actually a perfect example how they can improve on the gameplay. But then you'd have your front lines, and you would have a paladin that could heal and also do major damage, a thief class that would be more nimble, an assassin class that would steal items, and the main one would be a high priestess, having a stat that can be used for physical damage and magic, and would be an all-arounder. And how would we do this combat? A lot like a combination of Zodiac Age and also like Final Fantasy Lightning Returns. Lightning was interesting to play as. I'm gonna tell you this, because she was the only character that you had to load up different attacks, and depending on the attack power and range would depend on how many you can attack. So if you use just 3 straight up attacks, she would attack them 3 straight times, and that's how we would do the combat slide, and that would be amazing. But how would you be able to control your party but also let them fight on their own? Well, that's where Zodiac Age comes back into it. Zodiac Age had the gambiting system, and the gambit system allowed for the CPU to control the character, but how this would happen is certain characters have certain gambits. So let's say you had a healer and someone died, and the healer was set to always revive a fallen party member. My bad, guys, it happened. She would revive them and they would get up. So it would work a lot like that. The system is sort of like turn-based, but it's not turn-based. It requires a lot of work and a lot of effort, and that's what I really want to see. Because again, Final Fantasy 15 messed up a lot on their combat and pretty much messed that up. How would Limit Break work? It would be mainly just essentially a stat boost, a stat increase for the whole party. As summons, well, we gotta keep the badass summon, what they would increase whatever, like suppose someone is a fire type character. They would use Ifrit, and Ifrit would increase any type of fire magic used by the party. But also, he would also be able to attack. So he'd throw a meteor down or set the whole entire stage ablaze. But this is a hypothetical, and this is something I wrote in the script. I didn't want to go by the script. I kind of want to go off my heart because I really want this. I want, what if we can combine limit breaks with the summons? So suppose the High Priestess is using ice magic and she summons Shiva, and Shiva legit, she activates her limit break and then she summons Shiva. They can combine their powers together to create an increased strength. So pretty much any type of ice spell that Shiva can do, the High Priest would be able to do. But she'd also be able to freeze the whole arena. She'd be able to legit cause a hailstorm and all of this and have nothing but a status boost. This is only a hypothetical because I highly doubt they'll ever do that, because the idea of the mechanic is broken. But yeah, and the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to combat is the setup. Now most setups have, like, you have 4 characters in one party, and you have 3 extra characters and you're pretty much on the sideline. I want all the characters to be used. So it would be 6 characters, like I said in the story, right? So 3 party members in the front, 3 party members in the back. You can mix and match the rotation, and whichever one would feel better. It'd be like that game Lost Odyssey, and it would legit let you pick which character to attack first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and it would be in that rotation. And it would be really dope to see. Or since we're going for the more freeform thing, 3 characters in the back will be mainly if, like, the first 3 party members die, they pop in. It's a really simplified way of doing it, but I honestly think this would be amazing. So you have a lot of variety with your combination, and I really do like this because it'd be kind of like a combination of Zodiac Age and Lightning Returns, 2 games that I really enjoy, that like kind of would work in a more modern sense. And I know I kind of went overboard with it, but yeah, it's time for us to get into the next part, the setting of Final Fantasy 16. So look, the setting for Final Fantasy 16 is going to be one of the most important things. A lot of things about Final Fantasy 15 kind of made it lifeless. The NPCs were kind of boring. You weren't given varied NPCs. Characters all kind of looked the same hairstyle, same clothing, same design, and even at times the same personality. Nothing about 15 actually kind of made it super stand out. Well, that's where Final Fantasy 16 will fix its problems. I want to go back to quest visits, where there's market to go to. Let's go back to those days. Let's go back to quest visits. Let's go back to a village style or a humongous city to explore, but don't make it open world. Let's go back to the old-fashioned days, like Final Fantasy X, where it was open world, but it was only semi-open world, and you were allowed to go into a map, and you would go and check out this town or check if everything goes back. Let's go back to getting on a air carrier or hub worlds. Let's get back into towns and shopping places, but let's not get random encounters. Let's get semi-open world. Combine X, 15, and even 12 again with Zodiac Age. Because again, that world felt so open and life flourished there. You can talk to people and have pretty good conversation. Go back to 13 with how the interesting designs of all of the cities and everything and how they looked. Because as much as people get flack for 13 and 13-2, 13-2 had this futuristic looking city that still felt more like a fantasy than ever. And honestly, it was really gorgeous to look at. Even the NPCs for 10 had something interesting to say. And even 15 with the lackluster world, it was still beautiful and still great to look at. I just wanted to have an aesthetic that's unique. And I don't want it to be a fantasy set in modern time. I want it to be a world set in a fantasy. That's what Final Fantasy built itself off of. Even, let's look back at Final Fantasy VII. That was a fantasy. None of that could possibly happen. A giant alien that we extorted? Yeah, probably not gonna happen. Final Fantasy X was a world that reimagined itself, that combined the future. It had its own fucking sport, which was Blitzball. Overall, the setting needs to be something unique. It needs to be something that has me immersed in the game, which is something we'll cover in next week's episode, which is the music. And I have a lot to say on the music, because again, looking at these videos, and if you've looked at any other of my past videos, whether it be Kingdom Hearts or any videos, you'll know I love the music in Final Fantasy 15, 16, 17, whatever. I love them all in every Final Fantasy. But the reason for it is because they have certain composers I'd like to see come back, or at least collaborate with each other to make this. I want Final Fantasy 16 to be something special and unique. And it's going to take a lot for that to happen, especially music-wise. So in the next episode, let's get into it. Let's talk about Final Fantasy 16's music and who they need to ask to compose it. I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe to this video. And don't forget to keep rolling with your bros. And if you guys actually want to keep up with this series outside of YouTube, you can go and check me out on Twitch, because on Twitch, that's where I'm playing all the Final Fantasy games that you see in using the footage for. You guys can come and talk to me, interact, and even give your own thoughts on the series, and keep in touch. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.